The real question isn't if M1 is ready for Illustrators. The real question is if Illustrators are ready for M1!
A few caveats before I get into this. I don't own any of the M1 systems, so everything I'm about to blab about is all personal opinion and stuff from what I've observed. Also, even though there are 3 Apple stores within driving distance, none of them are set up to test out any of the drawing tools. I think they even sell Wacom tablets, like the non-screen ones. And they're not even set up for me to go in there and actually draw with them. So everything I say about the drawing capabilities of these devices is based on conjecture. I don't have friends who have M1s that I can try out either. So just know that you should take everything I'm about to say with many grains of salt, like a big old, like, horse-sized salt lick. But we are here to answer the question once and for all. Is M1 ready for Illustrators?
M1, because everybody's gotta have fun under the sun.
Before this week's announcement of the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, the answer was, yeah, probably. And now with the announcement of the M1 Pro and the M1 Max and the new MacBook Pro, the answer is certainly, yeah. So that's the end of the video. If that's all you needed to hear from an illustrator, from somebody who draws every day, sure, go for it. It's ready. They're ready. You're ready. Of course you're ready. But if you want some specifics, let's get into it. One of my biggest concerns about the M1 products at the initial launch was tablet driver support. It doesn't matter how powerful your computer is, if you can't plug in a drawing device to it, you can't use it to draw. I suppose if you're a designer, a graphic designer, and you use mostly Illustrator or similar vector-based programs, you can do a lot with a mouse, grabbing the Bezier curves and do that. You could do it with a trackpad too, the trackpad, but please use a mouse. Be kind to your wrists. But for any other kind of illustration, you need a tablet thingy. And like I said, if you can't plug it in, it's a very expensive, very pretty movie watching device. But good news! We're a year into the transition, and the big drawing tablet brands have drivers for M1 ready to believe you. So Wacom, Huion, XP Pen, they all got it. How well they work? I have no clue. You'll have to try it out yourself if you are brave enough to jump into the M1 waters. So we got the drawing devices covered. What about the software? If you're a 2D illustrator, good news. Photoshop.
It's in there.
Clip Studio.
Look, it's in there.
Krita.
It's in there.
If you've already got a drawing tablet of some kind already, and you just have to get the latest and greatest Apple thingy because you love Mac OS and you just do 2D illustration, then M1 is calling your name. You can feel very confident in your purchase choice. You don't even need the latest and greatest. I'm sure the regular vanilla flavored M1 will work perfectly because you don't need advanced simulations and all that stuff. Even if you're throwing a whole bunch of filters at whatever you're drawing in Photoshop, the M1, the base M1 can handle it. You don't need the Pro, you don't need the Max, you don't need the Super Max, the regular M1, that'll do a trick. What about if you use 3D? Has the software caught up?
Mostly.
Good news! Blender and Cinema 4D both work natively without having to run Rosetta. If you're using Maya, if you're using ZBrush, if you're using Houdini, you can run those with Rosetta. Apparently, Rosetta works pretty well. And I guess if you're not doing stuff that's too crazy, you don't need the native support. I think on the software side, the transition from Intel-based Macs to M1-based Macs is a lot better than PowerPC to Intel, because, boy, I remember when that transition happened, there was a lot of stuff that I couldn't use. So I had to wait a bunch of years before I felt confident in upgrading to an Intel system. And I don't know. So Rosetta apparently does pretty well. If you are curious to see if the program that you use every day is compatible with the M1 systems, there's a really helpful website called Is Apple Silicon Ready? That's where I went to see if all of my favorite things would work on the M1. If you have an M1, you can contribute and try some software that may or may not be listed on there and just, write them and say, hey, this works, or hey, this doesn't work, or hey, this blew up my computer and now I'm out $2,000. Fuck. So that takes care of software. Seems like we're in a pretty good place. In terms of hardware, I was going to spend the rest of this video shitting on Apple laptop design and the lack of ports. But this week, with the announcement of the M1 Pro and the M1 Max MacBook Pros,
Admiral, there'll be
ports!
here.
The motherfucking ports are back! I really want to meet the creative professional who told Apple, you guys are putting too many ports on your devices. I can't decide where to plug things in. Please take away my choices, even though I have so many devices to plug in. Motherfucker, we've been asking for ports for fucking years. And I guess we're supposed to be happy that they finally listened and put them back into the machines. They were the ones that took them out in the first place. So I'm a little salty about it, but finally, if you have been waiting for a Mac with ports that you can plug into without having to buy another fucking dongle, congratulations. We are here. We are here. M1 Pro, M1 Max, they have heard the calls. They have heard everyone complain about the lack of fucking ports, and they've decided, okay, fine. Photographers, okay, you're going to need an SD card reader. Fine. We'll give it to you. Fine. Thanks. So, software, we're good. Hardware, we're good. We got ports. Ports are great. So why doesn't this sound like a full-throated endorsement?
And why are you so apprehensive?
There are three big reasons why I don't know that this is a good choice for you as an illustrator. Certainly not if you're just starting out in your career. But even if you are a well-weathered illustrator, even if you have devices ready to go, even if you have your own workflow set up, I'm not sure that the Apple ecosystem is really good for us. Price-wise, these are very expensive. It just seems to me that the base price for the MacBook Pros is pretty damn significant. Fortunately, the Apple devices tend to last a long time if you don't like kick it around. Like the 2015 MacBook Pro that's hiding off camera, it's still kicking around. I still use it when I'm teaching at my classes and stuff like that because it's just easier to plop up and do zooms that way for the class. And after I replaced the battery, it seems to be humming along pretty well. It's a little slow now, but like if it didn't explode on me, I wouldn't have upgraded to this PC thing. So the hardware lasts for a long time. And even if the software that you need only runs on Rosetta, I think it's only a matter of time before it transitions fully to M1 support. So this is a lot faster than the PowerPC to Intel transition. So just be thankful we are now and not back then. Because back then that sucked. Besides the price tag, the second big reason why the Apple ecosystem isn't necessarily the best idea is the repairability of your device. You spent $2,000 plus on this nice shiny box, but they don't want you messing with the innards because you are too stupid. And if you break something, you're going to send it back to Apple anyway for them to repair it. So at least in my case, you don't want me trying to futz around with the hardware. Fuck. So I suck at hardware. You might suck at hardware too, but there are people who are great at hardware. There are independent repair shops all over the country, and there are tinkerers who would love to get their hands on these devices to figure them out and put them back together and repair them. But for some reason, Apple hates independent repair shops and has gone on a long crusade to lock down every one of their systems so that you can only take your gear to Apple authorized repair shops, which basically means you have to take it back to the Apple store. And that kind of sucks. Like, you spent $2,000 plus for this fancy box, and now you can't even do what you want with it. You can't pop it open and replace parts or tinker with it. If you buy into an Apple system, you have to love the configuration that you get, because that's all you're going to get. You get what you get and you don't get upset. And if something breaks, you take it back to Papa Apple and they will take care of it for you. And that's a big bummer. My laptop repair was going to be $600. They were going to have to take off the case and put in a new case, and that was going to be $600, which is the cost of a new fucking laptop. That fucking sucks. And because it was the 2015 MacBook Pro, I could actually find a replacement battery that I could do myself because this was one of the last repairable Macs. If it was any of the other ones, the later model ones, I definitely would have had to pay the $600, and in which case I would be screwed. So sure, don't let me touch your computer. I don't know what I'm doing, but you should be able to hand it over to your friend who's good at tinkering with stuff. So the lack of repairability, that's a pretty significant thing. It wasn't when I initially got the MacBook Pro. I couldn't conceive of a time when this thing would shut down. And right now, with all the hype around the Pro and the Macs and the ports, it's hard to conceive of a time when this fancy new machine will fuck out on you. But eventually, it's gonna fuck out on you. And when that time comes, you're gonna find that you're gonna be paying like a couple $100 to have something. Maybe it's a simple repair on their end, but you won't know because you won't be able to crack it open or take it to an indie shop and they can crack it open and tell you, oh, this is a simple thing. I just need to swap out this component. Or if it's a big thing, you just won't fucking know. And that's a bad feeling. Spending all that money and then not being able to find an affordable place to repair it. So I don't know. I think that's going to be a big deal down the line when these devices start wearing out. Right now, maybe not, because it seems like, they can go for a long time, but we've only had them for a year. We've only had the original M1s for a year. So who knows how long the M1 Pros and the Maxes are going to last. If the 2015 MacBook Pro is any indication, they're going to last a pretty long time. So you can feel sort of confident in your investment. But when they do break down, your choices for repair are going to be few and slim and expensive, and that's going to suck. The third reason why a laptop might not be for you if you are an illustrator has more to do with the form factor of the laptop itself and nothing to do with Apple. So this could go for PC laptops as well. But if you were to design a device from the ground up for an illustrator, it would not look like a laptop. It would probably look more like an iPad or a similar tablet, just a surface that you can draw on, no fuss, no muss, maybe an external keyboard off to the side, but it wouldn't be a clamshell that like you couldn't draw on the screen. Apple will never make a laptop with a touch screen. They want you, if you want to touch things, get an iPad. So I think if you're just doing 2D illustration, a laptop these days doesn't really make sense. First of all, you have to buy more gear with it. You have to get the laptop and then you have to get a tablet. And the tablet is either one of the ones that you draw on down here and then look up at the screen. So a non-screen tablet, or it's a screen tablet. So you draw on the screen and then you look up at the screen over there and then you have the keyboard over there. There's just extra shit. And then you got to get the external hard drives because your internal hard drive is going to fill up. Those Photoshop files, those Clip Studio files can get really fucking big. So like all this gear into this base station, it's not portable. You got to take cables with you everywhere. Like if you were to design a system for you, it would not look like that. It would just be a simple surface for you to draw on. And actually, what I think would be really cool is if you had a tablet and an external thing for all your tools. So like when you're drawing on a tablet, if it's a Wacom screen or a tablet screen, like an iPad screen, the interface still gets in the way. Like you want to draw on 100% of the surface, but you can't because you have the menus in there, you have the file menus, you have the layer palette, all that kind of stuff. What if you could take those things and move it off to a separate device so that your tablet screen is 100% of the drawing surface? And then maybe there's an external app that puts all the tools on that, or like you can use an app to change the layers or something like that. But some sort of external device to give you 100% of the drawing surface area. That's what I would design. That's what I would want if I was a 2D illustrator. If I was in charge of building hardware from the ground up, that's what I would do. A screen that you can draw on 100% of the screen with a little thing off to the side. Maybe it's like a fancy keyboard or something like that, but it would not be a laptop. 3D designers, 3D artists, different story. You definitely need a laptop. You need access to the keyboard. You need all that kind of stuff. But if you're just doing 2D illustration, what you need is access to 100% of the screen. Get the IO off of there. Get that shit out. So if I was just worried about 2D illustration and that's all I did, and I had M1 laptop money, I think I would buy a iPad Pro instead. Even with the extra charge of the pencil, it's just a more complete system for your needs as a 2D illustrator. You know, it's portable as hell, even though we're not going anywhere. You could draw on the couch while you're watching TV. You can draw in your office. You can draw in bed before you go to sleep, or when you wake up, you get some ideas and you've dreamed some weird ass shit. You can get them down right away, all that kind of stuff. It's a complete system. With a laptop, you got to bring the laptop and the tablet, or if you're doing design, you got to bring the laptop and the mouse, and then you got to figure out if you have a surface for the mouse, you can do the mouse thing on your shirt, I guess, because there's texture there if you're like in bed and you're doing this kind of thing. I don't know. There's a lot more shit to do, a lot more gear to bring, and your backpack is going to get really heavy. So for 2D illustrators, a tablet device makes a lot more sense than a laptop. So in conclusion, I'm really bad at this stuff. I need to write this shit down. So in conclusion, who is this for? I think if you are an illustrator and you're already in the Apple ecosystem, meaning you have an Apple laptop of some kind and you already have a tablet device of some kind, whether it is a drawing down here tablet or a screen tablet, M1 MacBook Pro makes sense, especially now with all the ports. I feel like it's going to be a decent investment for you. It's going to be a lot faster than whatever you have right now. It's going to last a long time, so there's that. So it's going to hurt initially. It's going to hurt quite a bit initially, but it should last you a long time. Things are going to be quick. I assume Photoshop will crash at some point, but up until that point, it's going to open quick and close quick. Clip Studio is going to be fine. Clip Studio crashes way less than Photoshop does. So if you're a Clip user, it's going to scream. It's going to be amazing. If you're not already in the Apple ecosystem, I don't know. I feel like the price point is pretty steep. If you're going from a PC laptop and you already have all the drawing devices and you're interested in the Apple ecosystem, I don't know, maybe go to an Apple store and check it out, see if you like the interface, see if you like the IO, and then make a purchasing decision. If you are starting out, if you are looking at all the stuff that people are doing with digital art and you're saying to yourself, I think I want to get in on this, do not buy this expensive ass laptop, even if it has the ports. If you are starting off, instead direct that money to a tablet device. It's a more complete system. I don't know enough about other tablet brands, so I can't make a determination there, but find a tablet device. There are plenty of tech reviewers out there who do reviews for tablets and their drawing capabilities and that kind of stuff. Take a look at those, make a decision there, or get some advice there. But I would direct your money into one of those devices because it's a more complete system. And if you're just starting out, you don't want to have to invest in a laptop and then another thing and then this other thing and then things to plug into the thing and drives and this and that and the other thing. You just kind of want to get your feet wet trying to try it out. And a tablet will do great because you can draw with it, certainly. You can play games with it. You can do email with it. You know, you could do the base computer things. Typing a term paper might be a pain in the ass, but you know, if you get an external keyboard, that might work too. But look for a tablet device rather than a laptop, because a laptop, it's a base station and you need to find other things to go into the base station, but it's the base. There's more shit you gotta keep buying. It's like buying a PC tower. You get the tower and then you're like, oh shit, how am I going to talk to this tower? I need a keyboard. I need a mouse. I need a monitor. I need all this other shit. So it's like buying a frame and then you have to put all the wheels on the car and all that kind of stuff instead of buying a full fucking car. So look for a tablet of some kind. I like the iPad Pro, but that's the only tablet I've drawn on. Don't take my word for it. Find reviewers who have worked with other tablet brands and stuff like that. I can say that the iPad Pro has been pretty stable for me, but I do most of my work on a desktop now. So, you know, don't listen to me. But if you're just starting out, go with the tablet. Don't do the laptop. Don't do the laptop. Unless you're gaming, in which case you're not even looking at an Apple device. Like I can't play Destiny or Halo on an M1, so fuck that. So, is M1 ready for illustrators? Yeah. If you got M1 money, go for it. If you don't got M1 money, get a tablet or something else, and by the time you do get M1 money, there'll be bigger and better M1s, and hopefully they will keep the ports. Motherfucker. Why would you do that? Why would you take them? Why would you take them away? Why would you take them away? Why would you take them away? I'm gonna stop now. Thank you for watching, trying something new with this one. Let me know if it worked for you, or if you like the old way I was doing stuff without all the in cuts and all that kind of shit. All right, check you later. Make some cool shit.